Shalom Chaverim, welcome back to our discussion of Rabbi Nachman's Sichos HaRan. We are going to look now at Sicha number 14. If you're in the BRI book, it's on page 119. Sicha number 14 is another fairly short Sicha, so we'll be able to cover it all in this one discussion, I think. It starts off with an amazing statement from Rabbi Nachman. Again, remember the context here. Sichos HaRan, this is not the graduate level lectures from Rabbi Nachman. That would be Likutei Maharan. This is the more casual, more approachable conversations that were had by Rabbi Nachman with just his inner circle, and particularly with Reb Nassan, whom Rabbi Nachman called Reb Nasala, his little Nassan, who he said without Nasala there would be no Nachman. So these are more intimate conversations, and because of that we get some really striking moments, like the first sentence of this Sicha. It says, "I envy a sincerely religious Jew, such as we call an Ehrlicher Yid." Rabbi Nachman, this amazing, brilliant Torah scholar, this amazing light, one of the greatest Torah minds in history, is saying that he envies a sincerely religious Jew. He then continues, "He may appear to have guts and limbs like everyone else, but he is really something more. A sincerely religious man is very precious indeed." So Rabbi Nachman is here saying that, he sees sincerely religious Jews, and they look like us. They look like normal people. They have, guts and limbs, and they bleed just like anyone else. But he's saying that there's something more to them. And he's going to explain, I think, a little bit about what that is. And he says that they're very precious. Sincerely religious Jews are very, very precious. To whom? To Hashem, to Rebbeinu Shel Olam, to the Master of the universe. He continues, the main thing is desire and longing. So he's saying the most important thing is that you desire to serve Hashem, that you desire to have an observant life. But then he says, of course, this alone is not enough, for it should be realized in action. And there's a reference here in the BRI version to Likutei Maharan, the first volume, number 66, where he's saying in that lecture, he's talking about the fact that desire and longing are very good, but they're the first step, and you have to turn that desire and longing into actual action. Rabbeinu Nachman continues, we are taught that one who is under duress is exempted by God, but this is true only when one actually desires not to be exempted. This is a really deep concept. Rabbi Nachman is talking here about the fact that in Talmud, in Bava Kama, it is taught that if someone is under duress, then they're exempted from actually fulfilling a mitzvah. If someone has a gun to your head and says, if you put on tefillin right now, I'm going to kill you, you're exempted. You're exempted from putting on those tefillin, because saving your life is more important. And if you're under duress, you're exempted. You're exempted from fulfilling that mitzvah if you're under duress. But, says Rabbi Nachman, that's true. That exemption is only there when one actually desires not to be exempted. So you have to be thinking, I really, really, really wish that I were not under this duress and that I could fulfill this mitzvah, and I really don't want to be exempt. And he says that if you have that intention, if you have that desire and that longing to not be exempt, then and only then are you actually exempt by the duress. Are you actually exempted by the duress from fulfilling that mitzvah? Continues Rabbi Nachman, you may be under duress, but you should not be satisfied with the fact that you are exempt. Again, right? You shouldn't be satisfied. You shouldn't be thinking, oh, well, it's a good thing I'm under duress because now I don't have to fulfill that mitzvah. No, you shouldn't be thinking that at all. You shouldn't be satisfied with that fact, that you have this free pass, as it were. He continues, you must continuously long to bring this good desire to fruition. So again, he's saying you've got to want to turn your desire to do mitzvos into actual performance of the mitzvos. That has to be your animating desire at all times. When you are not willing to be satisfied with the fact that you may be exempt, the desire to complete the task is in itself very beneficial. So he's saying not only is that desire to not be exempt required in order to get the exemption, but he's saying that, in fact, if you're under true duress and you still maintain that desire to actually fulfill the mitzvah, that by itself can be very beneficial. It can almost be like you fulfilled the mitzvah. And finally, Rabbi Nachman says, then, even if you find the task impossible, you have a worthy accomplishment in your desire alone, right? So even if you can't find any way out of the situation, and you're truly under duress, and you are exempt, but you maintain this desire, this longing to do the right thing, to fulfill the mitzvah at hand, then you have accomplished something worthy. You have a worthy accomplishment in your desire alone. Just desiring to not be exempt, just desiring with your entire being that you be able to fulfill the mitzvah despite the duress is in itself a mitzvah. That's what Rabbi Nachman is telling us here. This is getting into an important concept that we're going to see come up, and we've seen it a little bit already. Even though we're only on Sicha number 14 out of over 300, we've seen this theme already emerging, and it's an important component of Breslov Chasidus, which is that every little step that you can take is valuable and is precious to Hashem. We talked in the last Sicha number 13, about how even seemingly difficult circumstances like not earning a livelihood can create precious words. They can create earnest prayer, and here is another, I think, opportunity that Rabbi Nachman is showing us, that even if you're in a situation where it's impossible for you to do what you're supposed to do, where you're under duress and you can't fulfill a mitzvah, you shouldn't be discouraged, right? Ein shum yeush be'olam klal. This is an amazing concept in Rabbi Nachman's Torah. There is no such thing as despair in the world. It doesn't exist, says Rabbi Nachman. It's an illusion. And this is an example where you might be in a circumstance where you're slipping into yeush, into despair, chas v'shalom. But Rabbi Nachman says, don't do that. Don't do that. Just hold on to your desire to fulfill the mitzvah. Hold on to that sincere longing to not be exempt, to not be in the situation where you have a free pass, as it were. And that in itself is a very worthy and precious accomplishment. And you can take chizuk, you can take encouragement and strength from knowing that every effort that you make, no matter how seemingly small, no matter how seemingly incomplete, can actually be worthy and precious. And that should give us all immense joy. Thanks for tuning in. With the help of Hashem, next time we will look at Sicha number 15.